Hello, and welcome to the Hustle and Know Entrepreneurial Experience. My name is Julie. I'll be your host today, and we are an entrepreneurial book club moving into the podcast world. Each month or a couple weeks, we read books relating to entrepreneurship and professional development. Today, joining us, we have Shawn, Townley, Joseph Warren, and special guest Larissa Warren over here. Larissa is a flight attendant who loves traveling and is also an avid reader. She graduated from UTSA with a bachelor's in English education and currently lives all the way in Denver, Colorado. So thank you so much for joining us today, Larissa.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the podcast.
Thank you. Awesome. We're excited to have you. So today we're going to be discussing the book Choose Yourself, Be Happy, Make Millions, Live the Dream by James Altucher. So without further ado, let's get started. Awesome. So in one word or sentence, give me your synopsis of the book. If you were the author, what main point do you want the reader to take away from this book? How about Joseph go first and show us how it's done?
Okay, I'm in the hot seat.
Yes.
In one word or sentence, man, you can almost just take the title of the book and say, choose yourself. But to take it a bit deeper than that, I read the book, I promise. To take it a bit deeper than that, you don't need someone else to accept you or approve you, or you don't need someone's permission to prove that you're smart and you're capable. There's a chapter here where he talks about Superman. Like, we each have an inner Superman, inner Superwoman, and all we have to do is be ourselves, put ourselves out there, and choose ourselves to succeed. So if you want to write a book, just go write a book, basically what he's saying. Choose yourself. Don't wait for someone to be like, oh, that's a great idea. Just go do it.
Definitely. You said it all basically in a nutshell. No, I'm just kidding. Anybody else have anything to add? Larissa, what did you think?
I really liked the book. From what I got from it is more of like the world is changing and you kind of have to be an entrepreneur because a lot of jobs are getting outsourced and the typical 9-to-5 is going away. So yeah, just trying to constantly be thinking of new ideas that fit with this new like tech run world. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Shawn?
You can't really rely on anyone anymore. You know, the days of going and getting a job and staying there forever, they're gone because the world's going to change and people are going to do things in their best interest. So you need to make sure you always have a plan B. You need to have a way out. And you know what? You don't have to be the best at everything. You just need to understand who you are, and you need to keep going, and you need to keep making sure you're not depending on just one single truth or source. You need to have all those developments, and you need to be helping people, because if you're not helping people, you're not going to get repeat business. And then the business you get, if you're being deceptive, is you're not going to like that business. You're going to be miserable anyway.
True. Okay, so from what I took, yeah, the book is basically about the author, James Altucher, and he is like, I guess you could say, not the typical entrepreneur, but the type of entrepreneur who basically, makes a lot of businesses, sells them, but then he's not really also great with like money management. So he would make millions of dollars, lose it all, lose his house, lose his relationships. And so this book essentially is about the steps he took to get his life back together. So he does go to say, he's like, this might not work for everybody. I'm not saying this is like the all do stuff to do, but it's what worked for me. So that's what he gives his advice on. So with that being said, he does what's called a daily practice. So that includes, you have to be all in one. If you want to call it like your chi, your chakras, everything, you have to have your physical body, emotional body, mental body, and spiritual body all in order to have the life that you want. So let's see. The physical body, like, meaning exercise, like even if it's just 5-10 minute walks a day. Emotional body, surround yourself with positive people. So like if there's a coworker that you don't like who's always nagging you, who's just bringing you down, you always want to complain about, just start, separating yourself from that person. Mental body, set goals, think about how you can make yourself better. And spiritual body, like, don't let the past and the future dictate your daily life, be in the now, stop worrying, and just live your life and be happy. So, awesome. That's a little bit. And then he goes into depth, obviously, of course. So, moving on, tell us what you liked best about the book and what you disliked about the book. Who wants to take this one first?
I guess I can go. I have a very particular chapter. I didn't write it down, but it's basically when he's writing out his list of ideas, and they were just like crazy. Like happiness hotspots and advertising in homes. Like when I read that, I was just like, is this like an episode of Black Mirror? Like, this is crazy. Right. So I just really liked the way he made the book kind of funny in a way. So I need to find the exact chapter, but that was what I liked the best. Yeah,
definitely. You can definitely tell his personality, like, through reading the book. I don't know, did you listen to it, Shawn, audio-wise? I don't know if he also had his little tidbits there, but you could definitely hear it just from reading it. Like, I could hear him.
Well, yeah, he read the book, but he also did his little outtakes, kind of like what we just did with Fix This Next. But his are much more manic, but I'll get to that in my take.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, then, well, what about you, Shawn? What did you like about the book?
Me?
Yeah, you!
That was fun. I mean, you're basically just listening to his brain rattle on. He doesn't really seem to put information in nice little piles. He kind of jumps around, and then in the audio book, he kind of jumps around and tells you stories along the way. Like, it's hilarious. He's sitting there going, I've written 12 books, and half of them suck. I hate them. I hate them. They still make me money from time to time. So he's kind of really self-deprecating, but he's kind of ADHD because he's all over the place. Like, I built 20 businesses, 17 of them have failed, So I like his honesty, his rawness, and his message is point on, right? So no one's going to believe in you. So if you don't believe in yourself, then you're never going to be anything. But even if you know things, then don't pretend to be other things that you're not. I mean, this book was written, in 2012, so really before the whole social media thing. So I'd like to see an updated version of this book, to be honest, to see how because everybody puts their best face on Facebook and all these other places. And I know I've listened to some of his podcasts since then, and he doesn't do any of that kind of stuff, really. Yeah, he's very choosy about how he speaks and all that kind of stuff. So I love his rawness. What drove me crazy is, he makes me tired. When you're listening to him for about an hour, I'm like physically exhausted listening to this guy because he's all over the place.
That's so funny. That's interesting.
Yeah. And I feel like oftentimes he contradicts himself in a way. I didn't write down the exact times, but he's just like all over the place, constantly contradicting himself. But I guess that's just life in general. Like, we're always kind of just going back and forth in life. So I got that vibe too.
Not still be in the future, be in the present. And this present is not going to you're not going to agree with yourself in the past. You're not going to agree with yourself in the future. It's kind of like he's very much a now person. This is how I am now. You can either take it or leave it, but this is where I'm going to be. And then, if you meet me 5 years from now, I'm going to be a totally different person, and you just have to deal with it.
Yeah. That's true. It'd be interesting to see what he's like now. I'll have to look him up on Facebook.
He gets memes sometimes. He got memed for cryptocurrency ads he was running.
Really?
People said were scams.
Oh.
Because he does out there things, so sometimes I can see how people would be like, oh, that's a scam. Some of the things he does.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good point. I'll have to look into that. What about you, Joseph? What did you like and dislike about the book?
I like that he was funny, and he was just being himself. Like you're saying, you could really tell his personality that he's someone who is ADHD and is very all over the place. Because one minute he'd be talking about this, and it's like, oh, a squirrel, and he'll just start talking about something completely different. So I kind of like that he was real and he was authentic, because that's what he's saying to do, and it's good that he's doing what he says to do. What I didn't like is, I think, kind of similar to Shawn. I think sometimes like it made me feel disorganized just reading the way his thoughts, because it's all over the place. It's just like this idea over here, we're gonna put Wi-Fi and DNA, and I think it's awesome that his brain works that way and that it's working for him. But it made me feel just a little bit disorganized afterwards. And like, but it's a great book. It gave me inspiration for my ideas of my own. So it's definitely a great book, and he's keeping it real. So I can't say anything about it. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. It's interesting also in the chapters of the book. It's not like there's chapter 1, 2, 3. There is no chapters. It's just like, here's a section, here's what it's about, next section, here's what it's about.
Rattle. Into the book.
Yeah. That could be improved, because it was like a bunch of like different blog posts, and they could have made them flow a little bit better. I think that would be one thing I would suggest.
Well, I mean, he even admitted that's how he wrote his books. He just took content from his different blog posts. Okay, well then to piggyback a little bit off of that, he did say that honesty is the only way to be successful, basically, nowadays in a business. Be authentic, be honest. And I know this is a concept we've also heard from reading other books, and he's just proving it right now, because he even has mentioned examples of how he has lost business deals, people who were investing in some of his businesses, and how I guess the numbers went down or dropped that month, so he was avoiding their calls. And then they ended up saying, okay, well, it took us now like several weeks to reach you, and because of that, we're going to have to pull our money now because you didn't communicate. So that's why being honest, if you just told him, sorry, it's not a great month, but I'm going to pick it back up, here's my plan, then he would have been fine. So
Remember that part about he had started a business and he was so shy that he would avoid his own workers, and like he would be an assistant, say, "Hey, is there anybody down there? Because I'm coming to get some coffee and I don't want to talk to anybody."
I remember that.
Right. Well, he did say that business did end up failing, so you know. Okay, so for me, some things, there was a couple of things that I really liked. I'll just mention a couple. A concept that I really liked, and I know we've heard this in another book, but I'm going to say it anyways because I love it. It says, don't let any one person have control of your life. So for example, if you are an entrepreneur and you have only like 5 handful of clients, and if one of the clients, like your biggest ones, basically going to make or break you, so if you lose that client, you're like, we're out of business here. Don't let that happen, because that's just going to bring added stress onto you, onto your business, and it's just not going to fulfill you in life. So yeah, try not to do that. And also another thing that I really liked is he talks about his friend Kamal, I think that's how you pronounce it, and how he attached his happiness to all these external goals. And he had this business, and I think it was going okay. It might not have been doing too well. And he just went into like a deep depression, and his health started declining to the point where he hit rock bottom and thought he was going to die. And the only way he got better, like he was literally on his deathbed, and the only way he got better was he kept saying like, I love myself, and thinking positively. And eventually he got better, his life got better, his business got better, everything got better, all because he was not focusing all on the negative. So also really, and he wrote a book, Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. So you can check that out as well. So there's nothing in the book that I typically disliked, but let me finish. But there was some things that I think could be considered hot takes, so I bookmarked it. So I do want to bring that part up, because specifically for you, Joseph. Okay.
We're going to go at it? We're going to fight?
Because maybe you and him are going to fight. Because he says in one of his points, let's see. He says, your retirement plan is for shit.
Yes.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the right foot that I disliked.
Yeah. And we had just did like a home money mastermind. So
Yeah.
I was like, dang, Joseph's a financial advisor.
But I've heard that point before, and it's like, if you put all your money into a 401k or Roth IRA even, then you can't take that money out until you're 60. And if you wanted to actually live a life on your terms and retire at 40 or 35, you'd have to wait 20 years to take that money out. So there's a point to that. If someone wants to retire early, you don't have to use a 401k or something like that. And then also 401k gets taxed horribly.
Use a Roth.
Yeah, the Roth IRA gets taxed once, right?
So he does have a point in just doing what everyone else does and just like maxing out your 401k may not be the best way to invest, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right, Joseph. He says, basically, the inflation's going to carve out the bulk of your 401k, and then in order to get the cash in on that retirement plan, you'll have to live a really long time doing stuff you don't like to do. Basically, like you're going to be stuck in this job for how many years? Then suddenly you're 80 years old and you're living a reduced lifestyle in a cave and can barely keep warm at night.
That doesn't sound like that.
Yep. So he's like, the only real retirement plan is to choose yourself, to start a business or a platform or a lifestyle where you can put big chunks of money away. So that's his reasoning behind it. But still, I was like, ooh, don't say it. Too funny. Okay. Moving on then. What is something that you learned from the book that you didn't know before? And give me an example of how you're going to apply what you've learned in this book to your real life. Who wants to go first? Joseph.
So I think the big thing with me, because this is my second time reading the book, and the thing that I found is when I read a book a second time, like I start taking action on it. The first time it's more like I'm just like, oh, that's a cool idea. But this one I really like the idea of having your inner world taken care of before you start worrying about the outside world. So like really taking care of your emotional health, your physical health, and prioritizing your mental health and all these different things. I think that's important. And what I'm going to start doing is when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to say, whose life can I save today? And what adventures are going to happen to me today? Easy. I can do that one.
That's cute.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Larissa?
I actually kind of wrote down the same thing. I put like, if you want to be successful in your business and your career, you first have to take care of yourself. But also the part where he's always talking about thinking of new ideas, no matter how big or small they are. Sometimes I feel like with my job, I get into like a rut and I'm just like not thinking about any type of like entrepreneurial stuff. So that's a big thing for me is I want to start like brainstorming ideas, big and small, crazy or not crazy, but just like exercising your brain, he calls it. I really liked that idea. So
Ooh, I'm going to piggyback off of that. Larissa, she took mine. No, just kidding. Okay, so yes, exactly like she said. He has a chapter in the book called How to Become an Idea Machine. And this is something that I'm actually going to challenge all of us. Throwing stuff at you guys. Okay, so basically all you have to do is write down 10 ideas a day. And it can be about anything, business ideas, book ideas, what did you do if you get arrested for shoplifting, how to build a better tennis racket, like anything. And you don't have to look at the ideas ever again. The purpose is to have thousands of ideas over time and to develop your idea muscle. So how do you know if your idea is too big? Is if you can't think of the next step. So just keep that in mind. But either way, I'm challenging all of us, 10 ideas a day. And really, what he did is he took time out of his day, and he really thought. And he's like, I'm not going to do anything until I finish this. And he thought so hard, he wore his brain out and then took a nap. Took a 30-minute nap. He's like, okay, I'm recharged. Because that's what happens when you're really using your brain, people. Maybe that's why we're tired all the time. We're using our brains.
Smart.
Okay, so that's all for now. Okay, who else? Shawn?
Ha! I anticipated your challenge, and I've already been doing it. I've been writing down 10 things a day since I finished this book a week ago. And doesn't my
Head of the game.
brain look bigger already? I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an idea machine yet. I've had some pretty interesting ideas. I've had some ideas that I wouldn't necessarily have thought of probably in normal passing, but it is an interesting thought experiment. So how long is your challenge there, Julie?
This challenge will be for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, so until we do our next meeting.
Yes.
All right. Larissa have to do it too?
Yes.
So she's on
So
the boot
luckily
camp.
that was already her thing.
Oh, yeah. All right.
You have to hold me accountable.
We will find you.
We'll fly up there.
So if you don't do it, have you heard the consequences of that, right?
No.
One day where you get a pass, right? So I fell asleep or, I was traveling to Europe and I couldn't get it in time, whatever. So, but after that, if you miss, it's $10 a day. You have to donate to our marketing, right? So she's going to buy some, I don't know, Facebook people or something, whatever millennials do. They buy Facebook. That's not my department, so. But the one thing I am going to, I did do that, so I saw you coming. You couldn't sneak up on me with that one. But the thing I really like is, and the thing that I'm going to be doing is be happy first. Just start by being happy. And I know this kind of blends into a couple of books we've read before, but you don't do stuff to become happy. You're happy, and then stuff happens. And I think I've been leaning that way anyway, but I think I'm going to keep on keeping on with that and wake up. I'm not going to do exactly what Joseph said. Who am I going to save today? I thought that was a little superhero-y. But I am going to say, who can I make smile today? Because I think I'm going to, instead of crushing it, I'm going to squish it. I'm going to squish it and just see if I can make some people laugh. And then, so I'm just going to say, hey, who's going to make smile today? And I'm going to write my idea machine down.
Mm-hmm. And another tool that he did to help him get out of his funk was to, every day when he woke up, he thought about what he was grateful for. So similar concept, like to being happy and helping others. Gratitude is the attitude. Well, awesome. Okay. Is there any additional stuff we would like to add? No. Any thoughts? There is some other ideas or things that I would like to mention. Of course. There was some good stuff in this book, guys. One of the things that they were talking in the book about, one of the blog posts that he did, he posted a picture of a woman in like a bikini doing this yoga pose where she's like all the way like bending backwards, basically like looks like she's gonna snap in half type of deal. And there were people on his Facebook were commenting and saying like, why are you always posting pictures of like half naked women or whatever? And he's like, well, does it get your attention? Read my blog. No. But somebody who knew who she was forwarded his blog post to her, and she read it, and she actually wrote to him. And basically, she was saying how like she is actually like a yoga instructor. She had some kind of I don't remember the specific details, but she had some kind of health problems. Sorry, Joseph?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying her car accident with her spine.
Oh, it was a car accident? Yeah, some kind of health problem to where like she had injured herself to where she was told she would never be able to even like do yoga again or anything. But she didn't believe them. She's kept at it, and then it's a miracle that she's even able to bend like that still after all that she's been through. So the point is that people were always going to talk. You post pictures. She was obviously really proud, even though she was like in a bikini. It's like, why didn't you focus on the flexibility part? That's not what we do. But in general, 30% of people are going to love you in your work. 30% of people are going to hate you in your work. And 30% just won't care and they'll scroll by. So if you're getting like all these negative comments in your newsfeed or whatever, anytime you post or about your business, just remember that, especially in the online age, people are always tough online, but in reality, they're not going to say anything to you.
So, Julie, what are the other 10% going to do?
Exactly. They just don't even know what's going on. I think they're just like completely oblivious.
I guess I would go and they won't care.
Just did 90%. So what are the other 10% going to do?
Up to your imagination.
Did he leave out 10%, or did she leave out 10%?
Yeah, I guess she did. I mean, okay, if you want to get technical, 33.33%, but they just rounded to 30 to make it easier, I'm assuming. Such harsh judges. Y'all are the haters.
I was asking questions. Personally.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add? I have another thing that I'd like to say, but I'll open up to the floor.
What'd you say? You here.
I didn't hear you. Say that again?
You already had something to say. This is your second other thing.
I know, but look at all of these tabs. You're lucky I didn't say all of them.
I can say something.
Yeah, go for it, Joseph.
Did he say that this cover, he just got it like basically for free? Did he say that?
I don't know if it was that one. I think he said for that one he actually got somebody to design it, but that was like a small fee.
I think that's cool.
He never paid him for it. He still owes him for that. So in the book he says, "Hey, I know you did this thing for me, and I still owe you for that."
Yeah. Well, maybe he's kidding now.
One thing I liked was he said, "You're never too old," and he talked about like this 93, 100-year-old author. Colonel Sanders was like 65 or 55 when he came up with Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is really, I mean, that's the bedrock of the American diet. I'm just kidding. But I like KFC. It's yummy. And then he also talks about You're Never Too Young with a kid who was 23 years old who started his own music business, just releasing his music, and all the labels would tell him like, "Oh, we can't help you because you're not making 50 million every week." And he'd be like, "Okay, I'm fine then." So really, you can choose yourself. There's no excuse when it comes to age or anything else. You can always choose yourself.
I see you already have 23 subscribers now or something like that, Joseph. I mean, you just kept doing doing your daily video, and I subscribed today, and that's why I noticed you were 23. So yeah, that's what he did. He started talking to people, playing his music. He said he'd been doing it for a long time. It wasn't an overnight success. And then when the record label said, "How did you do this?" It's like, I don't need you because I'm not waiting for you. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing.
Yeah, but there would be a mindset of like, I need this approval from this record executive. Like that's a total just mindset.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. But yeah.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that example is what he was saying. He was giving this guy, I think his name was Alex Day, a musician. I think he started off when he was like 18 or something. Instead of going the typical route of trying to find a record company, he just did it himself. He started posting on YouTube. He started doing little gigs here and there, just word of mouth, and then
songs all the time. Just keep uploading the songs.
Mm-hmm. So in a sense, he didn't go the traditional route that society and the world is telling you to go. He chose himself to not have to deal with any of that. And so that's what we were saying about the book. When Joseph was mentioning, did he actually, draw this himself? What's one of the things he talks about in the book is how you don't need to go through a publishing company to write a book and publish it. Because the traditional way is like, they do all the marketing, all the production, all that jazz, but you only get like 15% of everything. Like that's pretty small margin there. So instead you can just go through Amazon, and he lists steps in the book. I don't know if that still applies because that was like you said like a long time ago. But the point is you could go directly through Amazon, publish a book, get somebody to do a design, or they had templates there, make a quick design, boom, now you're a published author. Done. Like, and
can I piggyback?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you get 85% instead of the 15%. It's like it flips, and you're the one getting all the money. Go ahead.
Just because you were 15 years old in 2012 doesn't mean it was a long time ago.
It was not that young. But it would be interesting to see how he's doing now, given like the pandemic and his thoughts, because the whole concept is, this was all before the pandemic, but he was talking from his experience of like the recessions, like in 2008, 2002, I think the other one was.
Still blogs. He still has podcasts and stuff. So he went through a whole minimalist thing where he didn't want to own anything. He didn't even have a place to live, and he was just kind of moving around. He got divorced again. I mean, he's an interesting dude.
Divorced Claudia?
Yeah.
That's the ADD.
Let's start reading.
Oh, he's not with Claudia anymore?
I think she left him. I mean, could you imagine being around that dude all the time? Holy shit.
She left him? Man, I have to look this guy up. I'm interested now.
I have to look him up too.
He was like homeless for a while. He only rented like Airbnbs for a while. Like, he never had a place. And he got rid of all his stuff. He did the whole, what was that, get rid of your stuff, minimalist kind of approach to it. He's like, don't send your kids to college. I mean, he's an interesting dude all the way around.
Dang, so this happened after the book, you're saying? Like, you listened to his podcast and you heard him say that?
That's with what's his name who did Freakonomics. They did Question of the Day, where they just go on Quora and read a question and then they'd answer the question. I mean, that was 3 or 4 years ago, where he was talking about, how he just got divorced and he didn't even own his own place anymore. He just rented Airbnb. So I don't know how that worked out during the pandemic. So.
Oh, it breaks my heart.
He already said, I've made millions, I've lost millions. I made money, I lose money, And I'm like thinking, hey, Joseph, here's $1 million. Can you just squirrel that away for me so I don't lose it? I'm not broke.
That's funny. Well, hopefully he rereads this book that he wrote and follows his daily practice and gets back up on his feet like he's been doing over and over again.
He'll be fine. I think he'll be fine.
I think he's better, a lot better now. He seems successful still.
Mm-hmm.
He posted a very viral tweet recently that said, like, New York is dead, officially dead forever. And everyone was getting mad at him because he posted attention grabbing because of what happened in the pandemic and people moving away. And people were like, no, it's not dead. Like, they were getting really mad at him. He was like, I grew up there. But really, he had a nuanced article. It was just the headline of it, which was very attention grabbing, saying, like, New York is officially dead or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still getting attention, and I'm sure he's successful.
Yeah, I mean, he still has all those companies. I'm sure he'll make another one and sell it or write another book. And he's in his podcast. He's probably making residual income. I'm sure he's fine. Or he will be fine.
Yeah.
If not now.
Eventually, right?
Eventually. Well, Joseph, you stole what I was going to say, which was so many successful people found their purpose in life when they're in their 40s and 90s, and he doesn't agree in the purpose thing. Mm-hmm. But I found that actually was another hot take, because at one point he's saying you don't have to find your purpose or your passion, otherwise you're going to be sad your whole life until you find that purpose. Mm-hmm. But then at another point he says that you have to you have to love what you do or something like that. I don't know. So, and then at another point he says pick a boring business because that's going to make money. But, all of a sudden you're not passionate about that. So I guess he goes back and forth a lot.
He does, yeah.
But anywho, okay, well, thank you, everyone, for joining us to our Hustle and Know Entrepreneurial Experience. Thank you so much, Larissa, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And you can find more about the author and Larissa in the description. And don't forget, hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. Bye. We'll see you guys next time.